Hello, I want to introduce you to David Budbill, the poet you see before you, who will be visiting school a week from Friday. He is a Vermonter of the past 40 or 50 years, born originally in Cleveland, but he's lived up near Craftsbury for decades, in and among those Vermonters, writing much about them. His first book, Judavine, is a is really a collection of narratives about his neighbors, many of them country farmers, but others who have lived through tragedies in the Vietnam War and other events. And it made his fame such as it is. Judavine is a mountain near Craftsbury, and he invents a fictional town and calls it Judavine. And let me show you a bit of one of these poems. Many of the poems are named after the characters. This is from a poem about Antoine, and he talks about a couple of friends of Antoine's who in an era with no iPods danced instead to the rhythm of a chainsaw. Okay, these two characters would adjust the chainsaw and then drop it on the floor where it would bounce with a rhythm, and they would, on Saturday night, they'd get out the chainsaw and have a little dance. So this was some of his early work, and I hope that we will hear at least a little of these stories of Vermonters in northern Vermont. More recently, Budbill's work has become shorter, more contemplative, more, I guess you'd say, lyrical rather than narrative. And you can sense the Asian flavor. He reads a lot of Japanese and particularly Chinese poets, and and he's a Zen character. And so here we see poems of a mountain recluse. He's got a little house up by Craftsbury, and the book he wrote after that, While We've Still Got Feet, depicts a crazy old Zen poet. Although, if you look closely right there, you'll see, I believe that's the face of David Budbill himself with Budbillian crazy eyes. So we'll get a lot of these as well. And let me share one of these. This is from boy, I think While We've Still Got Feet. And I'll read it. On the road to Buddhahood, ever plainer, ever simpler, ever more ordinary. My goal is to become a simpleton. And from what everybody tells me, I'm making real progress. So it's supposed to be funny. And there he is smiling, looking a little less intense than we saw him in the first slide. This is his most recent book, Happy Life. Again, brief lyrical poems about the seasons and reflections on his life, a life that has been a happy one for him. And he quotes a lot of poets. This guy Chi Tao, Wikipedia tells me he's an 8th century poet. And find your local Chinese dorm mate, and maybe they can translate some of that for you. Here's a look at a poem. This is the first poem in his last book, and it's a reflection on. This is a quote from a Chinese poem lamenting the normal life of most workers who he feels sorry for. I can't help feeling for you, leaving your office work only to meet each time the dying day. Right? So, what kind of life is that? However, he realizes how lucky he has been. So if you want, you can pause this and give that a read. I'm sure Budbill will read this when he's here on Friday. There he is, playing a flute. He's in some crazy jazz bands, and he's recorded his poetry to jazz. And I'll try to post some of that before he arrives. But I want to leave this brief. So a week from Friday, the 13th at 8:30 in Hagerman. He'll read for under an hour, and I hope it's fun. I hope you have a chance to read some of his poetry in your classes, and I hope you can hunt some down yourself. Here's Mary Keatsman. She will tell you. We've got Budbill. If you go to her office in the library, right in front of her office, she has all of Budbill's major works on display. I stole one, but I'll put it back right now. I have Judavine beside me as I write. That's that. We'll see you in Poetry Land a week from Friday. Thanks for listening.